Hey, welcome to Lab, the podcast. Super grateful to be back doing some poetry with V3's own Wendy Kieffer, author, poet, V3 artist, all of these things. I could keep going on, but you are also a mom to some kids who are back, and it's going to be fall. By the time we post this episode, full swing in fall. What has surprised you this year about the return back to school?
Gosh. I mean, I've seen kind of a new wind blowing through the school itself. My kids go to a Christian school, and I've seen just kind of like a revival spirit there.
Yeah.
That was surprising. I don't know if that's a start of school thing or just a movement of God, but it's cool to see I don't know, this reinvigoration among the youth for the things of God.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. I'm with you. I've been watching closely, like not just my own kids, but this younger generation. And if you are in that generation, like really pretty proud of you, really smart, very thoughtful, even about like technology, like the wholesale just grab for technology. This younger generation is actually pretty discerning about it and is pretty thoughtful about it. And they want to read great books. They want to be outside. They even want to enjoy some poetry occasionally. So I'm pretty impressed. I like it. I'm pro the young generation is pretty wonderful right now.
Yeah, they call it touching grass.
Yeah.
When they go outside and just have their shoes off.
And
they do it. They touch the grass. They think it's an important thing.
And when they say that, we're like, that's what you call it. Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
Great.
Well, it's good to be back. And the last few mornings even, it's felt cooler. It's felt kind of beautiful. So it's fitting to sit down and talk some poetry. I think we just as a team watched Matthew McConaughey has a new book out, Poems and Prayers. And I was actually really encouraged to see that. As he talked about the book, he was just talking about the power of poetry and why in his own life, a desire for God, a desire for meaning, a desire to overcome cynicism. And he said the only thing that he could find for that kind of a moment was poems and prayers. And I thought, well, yeah, we're in good company. So that was pretty fun.
That's right. Yeah, I think he's probably finding that convergence between truth and beauty and expression and outcry, and letting that find its way out as a something that he can offer the world in his own moment.
Yeah,
that truth and beauty convergence is poetry's magical touch.
Well, he'd be in good company with the Lab, the podcast family, because everybody who's watching this for a while now, we have been having poetry conversations regularly, folding poetry into the very fabric and life of V3's whole ministry, and really hoping to, for everybody who's listening, help broaden our enjoyment of poetry, our inclusion of poetry in our own regular liturgies and cadence, our exposure to it. And so that's what we want to do today. And we've got a beautiful poem. I'll get to that in a second. But as we think about this poem, I came back to a great line from T.S. Eliot. He said, genuine poetry can communicate before it is understood. Genuine poetry can communicate before it's understood. And I found that really helpful. He was talking about Dante's writing, but for everybody listening, sometimes when we approach poetry, one of the barriers is that I don't get it.
Right.
The words are organized in a way that I can't access really easily or readily. And so I'm actually pushed away a little bit because of that barrier. And part of what we hope to do in making this a regular part of our cadence is to just familiarize ourselves with the art form, and also take away that stigma that you got to figure it out. Because part of what T.S. Eliot is saying is genuine poetry can communicate before it's understood. What does that provoke in you as a poet when you hear him say that?
It reminds me of music. That universal language and the musicality of poetry and the wonder and beauty and awe of it and the cadence and the rhythm of it, I think is speaking and you're getting some of the understanding in your first hearing or your first reading, and then some more is coming later, and then it's deepening later, and so it reminds me of that, is that it comes in layers, it comes in waves, your understanding. But what you do understand initially is something more of, I think, akin to music.
Yeah. No, I love that. And a good song, even at the simplest level, you're feeling a certain type of way.
Right.
And so you'll turn on some music and you'll dial it to, in Spotify land, it's more like picking it versus dialing it, but you'll find your way to something that musically is meeting you in that feeling. And it's communicating something that's not the lyrics of the song, but something is coming through that. And it's after listening to that song 100 times that you go, man, that it's like I wrote that song. They're writing what I'm writing. So I love that. Genuine poetry can communicate before it's understood. What do you think the greatest barrier, that idea that I have to know it all before I enjoy it, right? What do you think the greatest barrier when you've taught poetry, when you have tried to educate people who are maybe new to poetry, what's one of the first things that comes up that's a barrier that you see?
I think there's a difference between hearing the poem read and reading it on paper.
There you go.
That's one barrier. We talk about that quite a bit, is that poetry is meant to be heard. Even Shakespeare, I just heard recently that you wouldn't say we're going to see a play. You would say we're going to hear the play. We're going to hear a play. And I think we had a lot more of that at one point, and then we got very cerebral, and the blank, cold, white page of our classrooms became the backdrop for our poetry. And I think it does really come alive, which is great on the podcast or Poetry Corner, things like that, what McConaughey is doing, because you get to speak it, embody it, and put it out there to its own natural rhythms in the human breath. And I think that's really a great way to grab and enjoy poetry and feel that it's an embodied experience. Also doing it in a corporate or reading it together, I think, again, that is really special. We've sort of lost that by the campfire. I was just telling you about a friend who invited me over and asked me to recite some poems. He had some that were memorized. And so my husband and we all were sitting around just listening to the poetry, that he had sewn into his heart, and his own voice just, putting it out into the room. And it was so uplifting, so beautiful. And no one stopped to say, well, the third line, what did it mean? It just wrapped around us. And it was a poem about someone dying. What would go through your mind and how you would feel. And it was very powerful. It hit us all immediately. And it was super organic. It's just people that have put some time and investment into poetry, and then sharing it in a group. Again, you're not just alone with your cold white page. Let's bring it out. Let's say it. Let's speak it. Let's share in it.
Yeah. I love that. You're driving right to, McGilchrist writes on this all the time. If we study everything in abstraction, fragment it, particularize it, look at it from a distance, right? Think about baseball like that. Like if you were trying to enjoy baseball and you were doing it only on the page,
right?
You can go so far, but at some point you have to, there's something about participating in it that makes it have a certain aliveness.
Yes. Yeah. Same with church too. I've been recently hearing a lot of people say, I feel like I'm in I'm on the practice field a lot, and I'm in the locker room a lot, and I'm looking at film a lot, but I'm not in an actual game. Inviting your neighbors over, going out into community, doing the things in the world that take your faith into your action and your words and affecting culture. And, this feeling like get off the bench, like I want to play a game. That's not just like we disciple just for our own little, lives. Like, let's go out.
Yeah. If you feel like that at all, good company, again, it's that the Enlightenment swing toward abstraction and hyper-rationalism. You can only do that for so long before even our bodies are like, no, we're here too. Yeah. And I think it's swinging back. So it's part of why this is so fun. Right. I love the idea of you sitting around reading poetry too, and just reciting poetry from memory. And people might think like, oh man, I don't know if we could ever do that. That'd be odd. I don't know. Maybe a fun way to explore what else could be possible when we're getting together other than just talking about the same things we always talk about, but maybe opening up some richness.
Yeah.
A fun way to do it is to drop a poetry book on the coffee table. And I love poetry books in the home. And if there's something that comes maybe from my side, I can't write the poetry or bring it like you do, but I can advocate for us to put it in our home. And if there's something that happens before the end of the year that would make me smile, it would be everybody listening to this goes out and orders a poetry book and just drops it on the coffee table or puts it next to a chair, puts it next to the dining room table, because there's a potency there that is alluring, and it invites us into a world that if we can put that little wardrobe on our coffee table, there's a world on the other side of it that's not just the poem, but it's what happens when we open it and we say, hey, I read this poem, and then you share it with the person who came to dinner. And before you know it, you're all sitting back reflecting on loss, grief, hope, redemption, these big themes.
Yeah.
And your night is charged with something. And as your guests leave, they're touched with this something else, something other. So I love that. So I want to make a direct push to just get a book of poetry. The one that I'm going to recommend, I just gave a friend a copy of this, but it's Mary Oliver. You gave me this poetry collection.
Right.
And I loved it because I love Mary Oliver anyway.
Yeah.
But this particular curation of poems was wonderful. It's called Devotions. So Mary Oliver Devotions. Maybe Riley can put these in the whatever you call that. See, that's how distant I am from this thing. But we're going to have Mary Oliver's Devotions in there. So that's a good one.
Right.
If you had to pick one right now on the spot to say, just add it to your coffee table.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it before, but R.S. Thomas is just one of my favorite. I go to that book all the time, R.S. Thomas. Sarah Teasdale, very lyrical. So if you like poems that have a rhyme, that have a lyricism, that have a rocking, lulling feeling, that feel like you're reading a song, she's perfect.
Yeah.
She's got a lyricism that is just it's so gentle and finely tuned.
Beautiful.
And yeah, I think Robert Frost and William Blake, again, I'm picking poets that are classic, but that have a more simple, pared down style. Because I think we've lost a little bit of that in the contemporary movement can sometimes be like a lot of words splattered on a page without a lot of structure.
Yep.
And so these poets all have a kind of form, a kind of chiseled feeling to them. And I think they're a good place to start. Yeats, W.B. Yeats is another one of my absolute favorites, an Irish poet. Christina Rossetti is a great poet of faith. You know, she's just got a lot of poems in there about her faith. And again, she has that lyric style. When I read Rossetti, I think Teasdale must have really loved Rossetti because they share a lyricism between the two of them.
Yeah.
And then, I think those are my top. Mary Oliver, again, she would be considered kind of a nature poet, peace poet. Again, very accessible. You can jump right in. She has no airs about her writing.
Yeah.
Right? She's not putting on any pretense.
No.
She's happy to say it in the simplest way that it needs to be said.
Yeah.
But it's profound.
Yeah, it's profound.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. That's a great list. We'll put the list up. Maybe this will even prompt us to put a list of, we should have like 100 great poetry collections you should have. Alchemy of Praise will be on it.
Oh,
we'll put that.
Wow.
We'll
Some
absolutely
company.
put that in there.
Serious company.
There you go. No, we should. But take me up on the challenge. Take us up on the challenge. The holidays are coming, right? It's a time where we do get to like start to tiptoe toward a slowing of time.
Yeah.
That not Chronos, but
Right.
Kairos, the bend in the river. And you're going to have these moments through the holidays where there's people around and you have maybe hopefully some margin, and get ahead of that and put some resource in your home that's a little wardrobe that pulls you into something. So that's beautiful.
Well,
Thank
and
you.
I have another challenge to piggyback on yours. Take a poetry book, like maybe you get Yeats, maybe Teasdale or Mary Oliver, and take it with you. The gentleman I was speaking of who shared the poems from heart that he had sewn into his heart. He said that he was a pilot. He was training and he had a lot of time in the air and had this poetry book and would just memorize them in those in-between moments. And so the challenge is be the one in the doctor's office who has a book and not a phone out.
Come on.
Be the one on the bus with the book without the phone. Like, put it in your car. And when you have to wait in your car for your kid to finish their football or whatever, take out the book.
Yep.
And start to make it a part of your life again, and have this resistance against the phone as the first thing you grab in those in-between moments.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we get really busy at home or whatever, but what we're doing throughout the day has a natural outpouring at home.
Yeah. That's so great.
Yeah.
I literally do have a poetry book in my backpack all the time.
Yeah.
And it happened at the dentist the other day. I was waiting for a dental appointment. And what I found was that there was a TV on in the waiting room, and I got to just disappear and enjoy this little garden that was there.
Yeah.
And I was better in my interaction with everybody that was around me and with the people who were helping and serving me. I was a more pleasant person because I had spent my time there and not somewhere else. So, okay, we're going to keep it up.
Okay.
But today, we're going to turn our attention toward some fresh bread just coming out. The poet's always cooking something. You say it differently, but there's always something, right? There's never a stop to that flow. And you always send some poems over my way. And this week we were going back and forth on poems. And I literally read this list of poems, and you included one that was not quite finished of your own. And the poems that were the most moving to me were actually your poems. And I don't do that just because you're friends and our poet and the author of Alchemy of Praise. But I do that because I just go wherever I'm moved. When you send those, I just see which one moves me, and then I start following that thread. And this time I did that same practice. So take us into the poem that you sent. And first, right, they communicate before we understand them. So first, as we listen, let's just enjoy it. And then we get the benefit of getting to explore it together.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's true even for writers, that sometimes the poem comes and it leads you into an understanding. It might lead you before you know why you're writing it or where you're going. Sure. So even the act of the inspiration or the moment where you decide to keep writing this little spark, to keep following it, you don't always know the meaning of it either until it's written or until it starts coming out. So it's interesting that you say that in the hearing of it. A lot of times that's part of the writing of it. Yeah. Not quite knowing. Yeah. So this poem I begun it. It doesn't have a name quite yet, but it started to try to envision that moment when Eve and Adam would walk with God in the cool of the day. And some people think that's evening when the breeze is blowing, the sun is setting, it's the cool part of the day. I envisioned it for this poem. I just envisioned the morning before the heat of the day. And I love that because as I was writing this poem about what would it be like to walk with him in the cool of the morning, I realized as it was coming out that is what we had. It's something that we can almost remember. It's something that our hearts yearn for. Tolkien says we're like drenched with this sense of exile from Eden. And yet it's something that we are looking forward to, that there will be a reunion and we will walk with him again. It's like bookends. So as I was writing it, I thought, wow, I kind of like that I started with the dawn, because that is such a hopeful symbol. This takes place in the dawn. Like the dawning of the new heavens, new earth, the dawning of a new era, the dawning of a time when we will walk again with the Lord. And what would that feel like to get to that place of the beginning and the end?
I love that.
Yeah, so I can just read it and we can... Yeah. In the yawning stretch of first light, before the sun is flung high, earth hums under our bare feet, humming back. In the apple crisp air of new beginnings, we walk slow, as if still dreaming. Slow through the dew-catching grass, past the sleeping bees, wild light blossoming in our ribs. Under a chorus of song feathers, we weave gold threads of conversation around laughter's silver bells and pluck our dreams from an apricot sky. There is no ghost in the wind, no rot in the air, no core-devouring worm, no dirge in the dirt, no bloodied claw or neck, no fractured soul, no clouded mind. Only my unfailing eyes beholding you, my empty hand slipping like silence into yours, skin to radiant skin.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see why I was moved by this is a beautiful poem.
Thank you.
Potent, like there it is. It's charged too. There's some fire toward the end there that is good.
Yeah, and it's strange to share it while it's probably going to change quite a lot to share such an early draft, but it feels like the right time. So, yeah, thanks for making space for it. I think there's kind of this idea of a new beginning, and as if we've been through a lot, right? And yet we have this new dawn, this new skin to skin, this reunion I think we're hungry for. When King David is saying, there's one thing that I seek is to dwell in the house of the Lord forever, to behold the beauty of the Lord. And I think we all kind of yearn for that. I want to see you face to face. I want my hand to slip into yours. I want to walk with you. This embodiment of that reunion. Yeah. What would that be like? And how, if we imagine it, let's say for a poet like myself, an artist or a visual artist or a songwriter, imagining the reality that is promised to us, the reality that will come, I feel like it can imbue our present with such a hope and such a calling and such an assuredness in the face of death and the face of, just strife and murder and whatever it is that comes our way, having that hope and kind of enjoying the imagining of that hope can imbue our present with where we're going. This is not home. Yeah. We are on a journey and we're heading somewhere. Yeah. Can I envision it? Yeah. Can I imagine it? Yeah. And then will that help me through the valleys? Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Kieffer, and I am honored and overjoyed to share with you my debut poetry collection, Alchemy of Praise. I chose the word alchemy for the title because it represents transformation, and especially the kind that is magnificent or mysterious and even inexplicable. Also, alchemy represents the kind of change that is possible through poetry, taking beauty from ashes and the way it lives inside of us, transforming the way we see or perceive our world. And you'll find in this collection a variety of themes, poems on wonder and stillness, poems that exalt God and lift our eyes up, and also poems that explore the interior spaces of the soul. All of these I offer to you with love and deep gratitude. You can find your copy on Amazon. And here's to allowing poetry to do as Jana Joya said, to awaken, amplify, and refine our sense of being alive. Thanks again.
Yeah. I've heard people say too, that's so beautiful, by the way, and even just in Christian theology and architecture, why are churches with the altar facing the east or situated in the east and us looking to the east? Because the expectation is there's a new dawn, there's an eighth day, there's a resurrection we hope for and a second coming and all things new. And like, this is the potency of the Christian faith. It's why literally I'm a Christian, because we have that longing and that promise and we go, it's only true if it's true. Right. And unless we've seen one risen from the dead, then we don't have cause for hope, but we do. Yeah. And his name is Jesus. Yeah. This is where the Christian faith just comes alive. And I think if you're like me, if you're probably feeling this too, there is that sense in us that we just want that hope to be true, but hope deferred makes the heart sick. And sometimes we wonder if I feel like I'm longing for that, but it's just not true. And so maybe this isn't true. And I would just say, no, the fact that you yearn for it means that it's deeply true, right? Like that's the yearning is there because this is not the way it's supposed to be.
That's right.
that drenched sense from Eden and exile, right? Like the fact that you're aware that things aren't right and that we're yearning and longing and in fact groaning the entire earth. And I think it is growing. I think there's a growing sense that the things of earth are growing strangely dim. And that doesn't mean the dirt and the flowers and the apple trees and the sleeping bees. That no. It means that the system, the brokenness, the deep cracks in the ground, the things of this earth are growing strangely dim. I'm not enamored by the gods of this age. I'm longing to be in your house again and to walk in the cool of the morning.
Right. And I wonder sometimes how AI has played into that, because a lot of people who may have put so much stock in their 3 PhDs or in their poetry skills or in their, pick a field.
Yeah, any of them.
In their chess skills, whatever the thing is that you're really, really feeling that is your major wheelhouse of identity. And now suddenly you have this feeling of maybe being displaced and certainly challenged. And you kind of have that sort of swept out from under you, like your legs kind of buckling out. The thing you stood on is not quite so, it doesn't feel quite as unique. And maybe that stripping away leaves you with some kind of essential part of yourself that says, wait a minute. Okay, if that part of myself is not as what I thought it was, a substitute for God, then that hunger and that longing and that sort of nakedness, that stripped down feeling, where does it then lead you? What kind of questions do you begin to ask that you may have been a little too busy to ask? There's a kind of a clarifying moment right now.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you say that. Just literally last night, I was listening to an interview with an artist who did 2 incredible stained glass windows for a Jesuit here in Tampa. And the artist who did those pieces was literally a sketch artist for NASA. So an engineering mind and an artist by trade. And was able to sketch the vehicles that would land on the moon. NASA would have humans drawing those. And he describes the journey, and he said what happened, and he describes it like this. He said, almost overnight, all of us lost our jobs because there was no need for humans to draw those pictures anymore. We had machines that could do that.
Wow.
And what it led to was him returning to a classical return to the arts. And he actually left everything, left his job, went to Europe and studied under the masters and replicated and copied art, and then became this modern day beautiful classical artist who is now doing stained glass windows and all these other things. But literally last night, I was listening to someone from, his story was 20 years ago, already feeling that rapid disruption. And like almost overnight, the thing that I was caught up in is no longer even needed. And how quickly and how unsettling that is, but that there's a new possibility.
When something is kind of being, scraped off or falling off or being challenged to, at the very minimum, what do you hold as your core identity? What do you hold as your core sense of selfhood? And where that can lead you when that is being challenged, I think is actually to a really beautiful place. Rather than feeling this fear and this unknown and this angst that it can also bring, I say we look at what is it doing? What is the potential in it to get us closer to who we're really meant to be?
I love that even in the apple crisp air of new beginnings, right? There's a different feeling than the feeling of, hey, something's being stripped away. I'm losing something. I'm in the air of something new. And you say, we walk slow, and there's like an intentional slowing down there. Say more just about like that little, those 3 lines there. That was part of where I started to feel literally in my body, feel moved.
I love that. Well, even leading up to that, so when you have before the sun is flung high, earth hums, you have un. So it creates like a little bit of a rhythm of humming. So the earth is humming under our bare feet. And so there's a very embodied feeling of being connected to the earth, not disconnected from nature and from touching grass, which could come full circle. for the kids.
For the kids.
And then you said the apple crisp air of new beginnings, we walk slow as if still dreaming, slow. So the repeat of that literally slows you down as you're reading. And the idea is that the rhythm as it's slowing down is bringing you into a new awareness through dew catching grass. The grass is catching the dew. So there's a very active element. And if the sun is flung high and the earth is humming, the things are alive and they are charged and they are, if we could see them as they truly are, they would appear to be catching, humming, buzzing, whirling, thumping, thrumming, worshiping.
Yes.
If we could see them as they really are.
Yeah.
And I believe one day we will be able to get at least closer to seeing them as they are.
Yeah. Lewis described dancing, tingling, a festival, not a cold machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's literally, that didn't cease to be true at any point.
Right.
That is what is true.
Right. It's partly why I think I mentioned Martin Shaw the last time, but this writer and speaker and storyteller, Dr. Shaw, he oftentimes says that things have secret names. And it's a really beautiful exercise to contemplate the 12 secret names of a thing or a person. Is not just a tree, or it's not just, I did this actually when I was contemplating scripture, and I thought contemplating Jesus. You know, he's a world weaver, moon spinner, light poet, skin guest, mud man, water walker. What is the thing doing? Dew catching. It is, what is it doing? And then you'll start to feel its energy by naming it. This isn't just grass. This isn't just soil. Right? So there's something about, I think, the naming of the thing that at least gets us a little closer to that festival, that tingling.
Yeah.
And so, we go past the sleeping bees and the wild light blossoming in our ribs. So what is happening? The dawn's wild light, it is catching inside of us. There's a connection between the beauty of what we see and the interior of ourselves. There's no inability to allow ourselves to be lit up by what we see, to be a part of it, to know we are one with it. We are a part of the creation.
When I heard you read that, blossoming in our ribs, I thought, how many people ache literally to feel that? And that's just a reality. I've felt that at times where you feel that sense of exile and dislocation at such a profound level that you go, it doesn't feel like something's blossoming in my ribs. And yet the glory of God, all of us fully alive, like Jesus came that you might have life and have it to the full. And we don't have to manufacture it. It's a gift of the Spirit. And that's what I love about even the dew catching grass, is that there's something blossoming in our ribs. It's not me or us making this thing come alive. There's a sense of aliveness that's coming into us. And that's a beautiful, to imagine myself as the grass and then I become a dew catcher, right? Or I have ribs, but those ribs, something's blossoming alive within my ribs, right? And I don't have to be in control of that. I don't have to be the one to make that true as well. I have to make that true and that true and that true and that true.
Exhausting.
It's exhausting. And that's how my ribs feel like there is no sense of aliveness.
Right.
Thank God that there's something else at work that brings a sense of blossoming within my ribs.
Right. And I think going back to what you said about poetry, why poetry, is that I lived in Queens for 12 years, and in Queens, is not the most beautiful in the winter when you take all of her leaves and her trees stripped down. It's just not the most enchanted place in the wintertime. And I would go through these kind of winter blues feelings, and I would write poetry. I would walk down the streets just writing poetry to allow the beauty to blossom in my ribs where I couldn't see it around me. Yeah. The uglier it got around me, the thirstier I was for beauty, and it would incubate in my spirit, in my ribs, in my heart. And the same thing here is like, if we're not feeling that blossoming in our ribs, we can go toward the words that will lead us into that reality like poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even the deep thing that's hidden within this, which Paul refers to when he says, I've learned the secret of being content, of being able to flourish in all things, even in a prison cell, even in Queens in winter.
Right.
There's something else that can be at work within me, and it's not circumstantial. It can find itself in a dark cell.
That's right.
Can find itself in a vast winterland, and it's relational. And I love the turn that's made there. Talk a little bit about this line. We weave gold threads of conversation. That's what hit me, is there's a relational thing happening there. That's this aliveness is in relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And so this poem can be interpreted many ways. The walking with God, obviously, but with each other, with that genuine connection between two hearts that are open and completely alive, as you're saying. And so we weave gold threads of conversation around laughter's silver bells and pluck our dreams from an apricot sky. So we don't just talk to each other. We intuit, we sense, our souls are braided together by how we relate to each other. There's a braiding that's happening. There's a sharing. It's so much more than we have words for. So I think sometimes we have to spin it in a certain way to get at the truth of it too, and to realize what it is.
Can I just say too that thank you for writing it in that way, because again, we lose this sense of wonder in our human connection, not just in, this can be true with our life with God and prayer as well, just the richness of that. But even on this plane, a husband and a wife talking, two friends talking, a parent and a child, it just becomes so common that we take it for granted, or we're very casual with what's actually happening. But imagine if what is happening when you're having conversations is our gold thread. We're weaving gold threads and laughter's silver bells. That's what it would look like if we were to animate our conversations.
If we could paint it. Yeah. And maybe that's what it looks like to God, just to get like what happens when you see it, the way he sees, the beauty he sees, even the sound of one thrumming heartbeat. Yeah. What does it sound like when looked at out of time, when looked at through the eyes of redemption, when looked at through, what does it look like? We can't have words, but I think if we were to try to come up with them, it might be golden threads and bells and this beauty beyond compare.
Yeah. Like, think of the Psalms, poetry saying how good and pleasant it is when you dwell in unity. It's like oil dripping, right? Like that's how God sees the connectedness and the deep beauty in our human relationship. And if there's ever been a moment where we need to recover maybe a glimpse of how powerful and what a gift that is, thank you for writing it that way.
Oh, well, thank you for encouraging the sharing of it too today. So there is no ghost in the wind. So there's no moaning, there's no ghost, there's no haunting of like people who've died, people that are the grieving, the mourning has passed. There is no rot in the air. There's no scent of that kind of decay. And then no core devouring worm. This is kind of an image that obviously it kind of harkens to the snake in the garden, right? And the apple, that kind of thing, but also the spirit, the core devouring worm. I've seen a lot of those people I love who have died, not because of an external war, not because of a disease, but because there's a core devouring worm that has it's just too much wear on the inside. Yeah. I've seen that. And to have this idea that will be no more, right? No dirge in the dirt. This reminds me of Abel's blood crying out from the dirt, right? I can hear your brother's blood. It cries out from the dirt. No bloodied claw or neck. Again, that's potent right now. Tennyson has a poem where he says, nature red in tooth and claw. It's bloody. It's bloody, jugular. And we have this picture that God has given us of the lion lying down with the lamb. What will that look like? What will it look like? What will it feel like?
Yeah. Yeah. I literally was moved to tears the other day having a conversation with one of my kids about the recent violence that has permeated so much of our media. And unfortunately, with the assassination that took place, one of my daughters, a group of friends this video spread so quickly that people were watching it. And my daughter stumbled upon a group of friends watching this. And then within a second, she's now face to face with something. And she said days later, she said, "Dad, I didn't intend to see that image, but now it's stuck in my head." And she said, "I just wish that I could get that out of my head." And I think that all of us have that longing, like how many times, I think of the Psalms, how long, right? Like that all of us, like we groan for there to be a day where there's no dirge in the dirt, no bloodied claw or neck, no fractured soul, no clouded mind.
That's right.
And you hear it from our kids now saying, like, I wish I could not see that.
Right. My kid saw it too. One of my kids. It was so fast. And, but at the same time, maybe there's something that can be redeemed from that, something that can grow from that experience or be learned.
The yearning for a new dawn.
Yeah. And the reaching for that. Yep. And then, fractured soul, no clouded mind. There are a lot of clouded minds right now too. And I think that's, when I wrote that, I think I was thinking of people whose mentality is starting to slip, and you have to watch loved ones slip away from you and die before they die. But this has also taken on another meaning too. And the recent things is these clouded minds, trying to find the truth is a full-time job now. Only my unfailing eyes, the only thing that I have that I have unfailing eyes. My dad is losing his eyesight. A lot of us don't have clear vision, right? On even just our sight, our ability to be able to perceive. But my unfailing eyes are now beholding you. We have this reunion. This what King David said, to behold the beauty of the Lord, or to behold one another as we really are.
Yeah.
Right?
Come on.
And my empty hand slips like silence into yours. Skin to radiant skin. We will have bodies. We will have skin. We will have radiant skin to skin. We will have our new heavens, new earth, new bodies. I think sometimes when we say heaven and it kind of becomes generic, we are reaching for what's promised us, a new dawn, a new connection, a new reunion, new eyes, a new ability to feel and see and live.
I love that. I've always loved transposition from Lewis, and skin to radiant skin. I just imagine his saying, "You will have skin, but it will be taken up an octave. It will be radiant skin."
Yeah.
And how many of us, like, you wake up in the morning and you're like, "Whoa, what is happening? Gravity," right? Like, but this resurrection body, what will it be like to be you, but taken up an octave? Me, but taken up an octave, right?
I know.
Glorious.
Yep.
Wendy, this is beautiful. And I think just in the moment, everybody can see why it was so moving, but this is what a gift God has given you. It's why I love Alchemy of Praise feels like this. So again, if you don't have that collection from Wendy, grab that. And we just want to keep making it possible in every way we can to encourage you to write, and for all of us to enjoy poetry, to write, to read, to share, to remember that the scriptures are permeated with poetry. It's so good. And maybe for today, back to T.S. Eliot, genuine poetry can communicate before it's understood.
Yeah.
We got a little glimpse firsthand from you, but would you read this again, and we'll just let it communicate on its own.
Sounds good. In the yawning stretch of first light, before the sun is flung high, earth hums under our bare feet, humming back. In the apple crisp air of new beginnings, we walk slow, as if still dreaming, slow through the dew-catching grass, past the sleeping bees, wild light blossoming in our ribs. Under a chorus of song feathers, we weave gold threads of conversation around laughter's silver bells and pluck our dreams from an apricot sky. There is no ghost in the wind, no rot in the air, no core-devouring worm, no dirge in the dirt, no bloodied claw or neck, no fractured soul, no clouded mind. Only my unfailing eyes beholding you, my empty hands slipping like silence into yours, skin to radiant skin.